me know if you can't see that or if they're not coming across clear, and we'll go ahead and get started. First thing I want to say to you guys is welcome and Merry Christmas. Thanks for being a part of the Transformational Leadership Series webinars that we're doing. We've been doing in the last 3 months. We're going to continue them in 2021. They'll be offered every month as an opportunity for us to get together. We'll talk about principles of transformational leadership. So thanks for taking time out of your day to be here and to continue to invest in yourselves and in your leadership. Now, I know many of you, but for those that I don't know, I want to go ahead and quickly introduce myself. But before I do, I want to start out with this quote, because I really think it sets the tone. And it's a Charles Dickens quote. It says, "It was the best of times and the worst of times. Hello, 2020. It was the age of wisdom, the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope, and it was the winter of despair." Oh my gosh, if that doesn't speak to this year, if that's not relevant for today, then I don't know what is. You know, I started last year, just want to say this to you, with great expectation and energy. The trajectory of last year for my business and my personal life was going up, man. I was excited about the opportunities, but by July 1, everything dried up. I don't know when your moments were, when you hit the wall or when things kind of fizzled out or fell apart. But we all had those moments. Maybe we're having them right now. Maybe it's still happening for us, right? But I'm sure that we all have similar stories in 2020 of the challenges, the successes, the walls that we hit, just everything that we've had to go through. And I want to make a declaration with each of you before we say goodbye to 2020, because that's really what this is about. I need to tell you, I don't know what 2021 is going to look like. There's still things that we can't control. I don't know what it holds. I don't know all that's going to happen. But as we turn the page into the new year in strength, you know, I am a believer that we are committed to what we confess, and not just confess internally, but really what we confess out loud. And so I'm going to ask you guys to do me a favor, if you will, wherever you are. No one can hear you but you. I want to declare this next slide together. If you guys will do that with me, we're going to set the tone and get rid of 2020 as we move into some really clear plans and strategies to really win in 2021. So if you guys wouldn't mind, I'd love for you to say this with me, okay? And I'm just going to read it out loud. This is my declaration. I want you guys to join me, okay? So goodbye, 2020. You are not what I expected. You have pressed me on all sides. You have taken your best shot, but I'm still standing. There is much I have learned and more that I'm going to forget. As I choose to finish strong, I will close the door on you, 2020, and enter 2021 stronger. Goodbye, 2020. You can wave goodbye to 2020. All right, that's the foundation. So let me, for these guys that don't know me, I think most of you guys do, but there's some new people that'll be jumping on. Let me share with you this. I'm a growth catalyst. I love leadership. I've got over 25 years of experience in leadership development of growing people. But that's really not the important thing. Really, what I want you to know is that I'm a husband of 29 years. I'm a father of 2 amazing kids, and I'm passionate about personal growth and helping individuals. Here's a little bit, if you've been with me, I've been showing these recently. I added a new slide to this, but you can see my wife and I at the beach, my son and my daughter. My son's playing the guitar there. That was last Christmas, actually. I'm a foodie. I love food. My daughter makes me take pictures of food. So got some food that we had recently that I took a picture and I sent her a picture. Lower left, we're really fortunate, love sports, love baseball. In 2017, we got to go to the World Series. That's in Dodger Stadium after we won the World Series. Again, I'm a foodie. There's my family in the middle, my son's fiance. The lower right's the new picture I added. We're so excited and proud of my son. And this was when he was proposing last year. He set up an amazing family opportunity. Last year, Christmas, 1 year ago here coming up, he proposed to his girlfriend. They're getting married in May of this next year. So, man, we're really excited about that. This is what's important to me. This is where the first commitment I have is to my family, to growing them and leading them so that I can lead others well and do what I do. All right, so let's jump in. We're going to talk about transformational leadership because that's really what these series are all about. So I want to make sure that I explain that to you and you got a good understanding as we dig into this. All leadership is personal before it's corporate to me. It begins with me. This is why I facilitate a transformational leadership series. This is why I do what I do. And we're going to continue it in the new year. We're looking forward to that in the topics. You'll get an evaluation after this. I'd love to hear some of the topics you'd like to see discussed on leadership in 2021. The truth is, if I can't lead myself, how can I expect to lead other people? How can I expect to invest in other people? I can't give them what I don't have, right? And one of the many things that I've learned this last year is that you can't get what you need to overcome the storms of life when you're in the storm. Leadership isn't a one-time thing. It isn't a seminar or a webinar or a book or a program. Leadership is the experience of life that we go through every day and how we learn and grow daily so that when the storms come, we're able to work rightly in them. You know, you have to learn to grow and strengthen yourself in the calm that you might then lead when the waves come. This is the heart of what I do. It's the heart of leadership. Transformational leadership, it's about being a positive influence and having a positive impact in the people and the world around you. That's what a transformational leader is. You know, I notice I didn't say leadership's about a position or a title. There are positions of leadership, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the power that we all have to influence and impact people in our lives. Why am I sharing this with you? Because as we go through this webinar, I want to encourage you that one of the destinations, one of the objectives of your year in 2021 should be to invest and grow yourself. Not in one-time things, but really make next year a learning year to develop and grow your leadership. And I'm going to give you some great opportunities throughout the year to do that. If you stay following me and stay connected with me, there's going to be a lot of value that we're going to offer to you guys in the new year. Okay, so a little bit more details on this next one. Put in the chat, let me know that you're here. I'm going to scroll over and see who else has jumped in. We've got a few more people with us. So I'm glad that you guys are here. Who else do we have jumping in? So Kendra, John, thank you. Alexis, thanks for being here. Thank you guys for jumping in today. You should have gotten the notes, so I want to make sure that you downloaded those notes. They are posted in here for you. You don't have to have them to go through what we're going to talk about today, but you will want them because it's the template that I'm going to call you to kind of dig into before the end of the year. So I'm glad that you guys are here. Feel free to connect with people. If you see people online that are there or introduce yourself and you want to connect with someone, please do that. Okay, so finish strong 2020, start stronger 2021. That's really what this conversation is about. And here's something I say all the time. I believe this. I've experienced this, and I think you probably have too, right? How you finish something is how we start the next thing. I believe that. I believe that's true in jobs and relationships. How we leave is going to be how we enter. We take what we leave into how we enter that next thing. And so how we leave 2020 is going to be crucial to how we enter into 2021. And if we want to enter stronger into 2021, then we have to leave 2020 strong. That's really what this is about. So just to be clear, what we're talking about doing today is not about making a resolution. So I want to talk about that a little bit. Franklin Covey talks about resolutions. I don't know. Maybe you guys can put in the chat. Let me look. Put in the chat if you guys are typically resolution people. Would love to know. So put that in the chat. But Franklin Covey says this: of all the New Year's resolutions, they are typically broken by the end of January. Most of them only last 18 days. So I'm just giving you a heads up. If you're a New Year's resolution person, by January 17th or 18th, right in there, most people have failed in their resolutions. 80% of all resolutions never see the finish line. Okay, so we're not talking about ending the year with setting our resolutions. Finishing strong, starting stronger is not about resolutions. It's a simple process and strategy that I'm going to share with you where we can learn from yesterday in order that we can grow in our tomorrow. It's about growth. The 5 R's that I'm going to talk to you about starting stronger in 2021 will allow you to take the best from last year, learn from the worst, and leave the rest behind. Does that sound good? How's that sound to you guys? I hope that sounds good. So once we put last year in the rearview mirror, then we're ready to refocus and refire, making the new year the best ever. Okay, y'all with me so far? So regardless of, and I love this Dan Green quote, so I'm going to read this to you. Regardless of what came before or what has yet to come, what matters most right now is how I choose to respond to the challenge before me. Will I lie down or will I fight? The choice is mine, and I choose to finish strong. I made that my declaration because that's my choice. I'm choosing to finish strong, but it's an intentional action. We're going to give you some practical things that you can do here in just a minute to finish strong this year. Okay, and I'm going to talk about some ways that you can do that. So, resolutions or goals. One last time, I want to hit this just a little bit to make sure that you're understanding before we can get too far. This is the season of making resolutions, but that's not what we're talking about. The idea, I love the idea of resolutions. I think it's a good idea, but the problem is the experiencing the reality of completing and living up to a resolution. I don't do so well. I prefer goal setting. I think we're all more goal-driven people, but sometimes our goals run into the same problems that our resolutions run into. They're lacking. We just don't have the meat behind them or the motivation behind them that's going to drive us to the finish line. So what's the difference between a resolution and a goal? I think it's real important to understand this because this is what I'm asking you guys to do as you prepare to get into 2021. A resolution, I want you to hear this. It's a firm decision to do or not to do something. It's more about our will. That's a resolution. A goal is the object of a person's ambition or effort. It's an aim or desired result. It's more about an emotion. There's a connection to that goal, bigger than just my will saying I'm gonna or I'm not gonna. A goal gives me a little bit more to play with. It ties more to my desired outcomes, and it has an emotional engagement or attachment. So why do you think most New Year's resolutions don't make it out of January? It's often because they come from intellect. They're decisions to make that we want to make a change because we know it's the right thing to do. And so we make a resolution to make a change. Goals are more powerful than resolutions because they connect to our desires and our emotions. A resolution is tied to intellect. Goals are tied to desired ambitions. Important to understand. So here's the thing. Resolutions will get you going. Emotion will help keep us going. But to sustain the engagement throughout the year, to reach our desired destination or our objectives, right, all the way through to the end, we need to make a personal investment into that desired outcome. I talked about this last Monday in our Jumpstart. I do Monday morning Jumpstart on my professional Facebook page at Rick Torreson, 8 o'clock every Monday. We've got one more this year, and then we're going to take the rest of the year off. We'll start again in January, but hope you can join me. If not, you can go look at the one I talked about, resolutions, goals, and investments on that Jumpstart. So here's the thing, a quick fix, a resolution. It's more of a quick fix that's not tied to a long-term goal, usually comes to a quick death. A goal without a personal investment to see it through is only a good idea. And so what we're going to talk about the rest of the way through is an investment. So what is an investment? It is it's a devoting or using or giving of time, talent, or emotional energy to achieve a purpose or a desire. It's also the act of putting out money. An investment is putting out money, and not just money, but putting out something that costs us something of value that we put into it. It could be our time, our talents, our service. It could be money, with the idea of getting a return, an ROI on that investment. When we make an investment, it costs us something personally to get into it. And the greater that investment, the more likely we are to finish strong and to engage what we've set out to do. If it doesn't cost you anything, it doesn't cost you anything then to not finish it or not do it. So we're talking about making an investment into ourselves in 2021. So let's jump in, okay? Let's get into this. We're going to go pretty quickly. You'll have the copies. You'll have the notes. So 5 R's to finishing strong, right? This is your investment. You don't arrive at your destination or objectives by chance. You've got work to do. And this is where it starts. So we're going to go through the 5 R's. And I'm going to start with the first one. The first R, and these are in your notes. You got a template that you can take away and sit down and go through this with. But what I want to explain to you, what I want to make sure that you know, is that the review, the R, is all about perspective. Review is looking back with fresh lenses. A review is turning around and seeing where you've been not with the idea of judgment or criticism or condemnation to feel bad about what you did or didn't do. It's really stepping outside of that and taking a fresh perspective and being honest about what we're reviewing. We do it without self-criticism or condemnation. We don't have pity parties when we look back. We do it without blaming our circumstances or anyone else for what we did or didn't do in the review. That's really important. We can't change yesterday. I want you to hear this. You can't change yesterday, but we can use it to change our tomorrow. That's why we start with a review. This is foundational. Reviewing is about giving yourself some grace and staying away from the excuses. See, here's the thing about excuses. They disqualify the power and the possibility that's in you. When you make an excuse, you are disqualifying the potential, the possibility, the power that's already in you, and you never realize the potential you were created for. So the goal and purpose of a time to review is to do this, okay? You take an honest assessment of where you have been. You identify your new starting places or your current reality. A review is letting you know where you are today. It's all the past that we look at that leads us to the starting place that we're at today. It's making sure you put the "you are here" in your Waze or Maps app, right? You can have a map app and you can put your destination, but if you don't put your starting point, you'll never arrive at that destination. The review is letting you establish that foundation or that starting point. Without understanding your starting point, you're never going to reach your desired outcome. So this is really important. When you go through the template, there are 3 things I'm going to ask you to do, 3 action steps when it comes to review. Okay, the first thing is the celebrating victories. This is the part of the template that you're going to have. So you'll sit down and go through this on your own. When I talk about celebrating victories, I'm talking about even in the challenges and the hard times, there are victories, but we got to search for them a little bit harder than we typically do. When we celebrate them and remember them, what we're doing is we're picking our head up out of the weeds and we're rising above to where there's fresh oxygen. How many of you guys can use some fresh oxygen, some fresh air? We've got to get out of the weeds. So when we review by looking at our victories in the last year, we begin to see the possibilities and maybe realize that it wasn't a total loss, because it wasn't. It doesn't matter how hard it was. If you've learned, if you've grown, if you've gone through things, then it's made you stronger or better. And you want to recognize that. There is hope and energy in the victories. That's the first thing you'll do in review. Second thing is you'll acknowledge the disappointments. This is really important, because it's really about hope deferred. You don't do it to wallow or to feel sorry, but you've got to recognize the disappointments. What are those missed opportunities? And it doesn't matter why they were missed. It doesn't matter the cause. You're not going in to dissect them. You just want to know, what were they? What happened this year? What were the misses this year? The disappointments this year? It's not about self-pity. It's not an opportunity for excuses. It is about releasing those areas, those missed opportunities. You're going to release those areas so you can eventually refocus, which we're going to talk about. That's one of the R's, on what is ahead and where you want to go. But to do that, you don't want to drag the missed opportunities, the things you didn't get done with you into the next. It's a weight you don't need to carry. So you're going to acknowledge disappointments. The third part about reviewing is recognizing the game changers. This may sound a little odd, but this is really important, because you're going to recognize those things that happened outside of your control. When you look at the template I gave you, I'm asking you to list 3 game changers. I put one in there, which was COVID. COVID was a game changer, right? When you recognize the game changers, I want you guys to catch this, please. We remove excuses and the ability to put ourselves as a victim. It's really important. When we recognize the game changers, we can give ourselves some grace, right? Because we realize that there is a lot that happened last year, these game changers that were outside of our control. So why carry something that we couldn't control, right? And we can tell ourselves we did our best in the situations that we couldn't control. So recognize those game changers, those things that came your way that shifted everything that you weren't expecting, and give yourself some grace. Take a deep breath. When we do the review, we set ourselves up to learn from everything. That's what the review is. It's a learning opportunity, the good and the challenging things, okay? Remember, everything in life presents us with the opportunity to learn and grow. If you have this mindset, you will never find yourself as a victim. Okay, let's keep going. Next one is refine. Refine what has to go. I have a quote up there that I say a lot. Sometimes the hardest thing we can do is let go of something good in order to get to something better. When I'm talking about refining, we're going to look at two things: good things that we've got to let go of, and the challenging things or the hard things that brought us down that we need to let go of, right? So you're going to make a list of everything that you need to stop doing. But let me talk about this a little bit. This refining process looks at what we were reviewing, right? What we did in the first section, and deciding what we need to acknowledge and release. This refining is all about unburdening yourself from some of the baggage. No matter why it was there, you're going to let it go. You're going to get a clean slate. Refining means to remove the impurities. If you define refine, if you look it up, it means remove impurities of unwanted elements from something that you have, right? We understand refine from refinery. That makes sense. This can be a difficult process because some of what you have to remove may be good things, but they're not now things, right? And so you have to be able to recognize that and let it go. Let the timing work itself back around. So when you're refining, you are doing this. So I want you to catch this. It's important. You're looking for those things that are no longer relevant or necessary. They don't keep something simply because you've always done it. We really got to get out of that. You only keep it if it's relevant and necessary for your progress and where you're going. When you're refining, you're removing bad or negative. Now here's beliefs. It's not just about things you've done, but it's beliefs and practices that don't contribute to your end objective or your success or your growth. Refining is not just about removing things that we do, but it's also removing the negative mindsets or beliefs that are limiting us. And then when you're refining, you are identifying things you know are not to be carried forward. It's really important. There may be some things that you're not sure about, and they'll need to be considered. That's okay. That's going to be in the next section that we talk about, right? And you'll look at those things and decide. But right, this refining is all about letting things go. So part of refining helps us with the third R, which is refresh. So before I move to that, I want to finish this. Part of refining is looking at those things you started but didn't finish. A lot of us maybe have a lot of undone projects that we had good intention with the start of the year, but we didn't get to. They may be unfinished. The refining part is making that list and then having the courage to let some of those things go that aren't supposed to continue in 2021. Don't hang on to them. Don't let your pride tell you got to keep doing it. You got to finish it. Cut it loose, right? That's part of the refining process so that we can move to the next process, which is refreshing. Refining is removing, putting things in the metaphorical fireplace, right? Burning them, not to be resurrected. That's really what we're talking about. This can be a hard process, but when completed, it can be refreshing and refiring. It's freeing. So let's go to the third one. Hope you guys are still with me. I don't know if I can see you guys on here. Not anymore. I don't know, Kendra. I'm not sure what that means. Checking real quickly. Think we're good. Let me know if everything's all right. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're able to. Let's talk about refresh. This is the third R. What is undone? What needs to be carried forward? That's what you're going to look at here. So you just got done getting rid of everything you know doesn't have to go forward. You don't need extra baggage. So you're cleaning. You should be feeling lighter. When we're starting to turn the corner to 2020, that's what refreshing is, or to 2021, leaving 2020 behind us. There are initiatives, projects, programs, and other action items that you had set for yourself that you had good intentions to accomplish. So as we're going through that, you may not have accomplished them. It doesn't matter why. So think back before the pandemic, right? Before we knew that we were going into a pandemic, we didn't even know what that meant. You had goals and plans and you were working towards stuff. You had objectives, ideas, visions, things that you wanted to accomplish. So you're asking yourself in this refresh, what was put on hold? What did you start, but you were never able to complete? But here's the key. It's still relevant. You need to complete it. It has to be completed to really go to the next level. That's what you're defining right now. You are looking for those things that did not get completed, but they're still relevant. They're still part of your journey, of your growth, of your job, of the objective. Refreshing is about identifying what you need to and are supposed to continue or complete in the new year. There shouldn't be a lot of those things. Again, pride is, you're going to have to wrestle with your pride of, what do I want to bring in because I said I'd do it and I didn't. But if you don't need it, let it go, right? So things have changed. And that's the reality that you got to look at this with life, work, objective, priorities may have shifted and changed throughout this year. So those things that you need to refresh that you're bringing in, you need to do this. That the objective or the goal needs to be seen with a fresh pair of eyes. So if anything you started or were going to start or needed to do in 2020, that has to be carried on. It has to be. It's not optional. It's part of the plan to get to where you need to be in 2021. This section of refreshing, once you've identified those, has to be carried over. Then you need to refresh your perspective on them. You need to clean the glasses, let go of what you thought from 2020 when you started planning it, or you first built the vision around it. And with the new eyes from the experiences of the year and in the new reality of where you're going, revisit those projects, objectives, that vision, that destination. Identify what has changed and how you need to adjust or what you need to adjust in that vision or that objective from 2020 that's going to be different going into 2021. You're going to re-clarify the objective in light of everything that's taken place. You know, it's kind of like putting a fresh coat of paint onto something, right? Like you had this idea, it's worn, it seems like forever to get it realized, but you need to refresh it. That's what this is. It's still good and relevant. It just needs to be refreshed. Once you've taken the time to review, refine, and refresh, you're now ready to walk in the new year. Okay. And so this is all in the template you're going to go through. And you're going to look at the new opportunities with a fresh mindset and a renewed energy. Okay. Y'all still with me? It's hard when we can't interact. I am a relational person, so I love to see the dialogue and the interaction and to see your faces. So I'm hoping you're still with me. I'm hoping this is making sense. So we're going to transition to the last two parts, which are really where we get into it. When you review, refine, and refresh, you set the foundation to refocus and refire. This is where the fun begins. It's when we cast a vision and build a plan to see it come to a reality. These are the last two pieces. We're going to make this whole thing tangible. Right? It's important to remember that these next R's are ongoing. They'll continue. You may need to mature them. You may need to, as they take shape, adjust them. This is the ongoing living part of what you're going to do in 2021. You know, you never know the obstacles that might come, right? So you're going to prepare to recalculate, like on the roadmap, right? If an obstacle or roadblock comes up, you're going to be prepared to make the necessary adjustments through this process. Okay, so let's get into these last couple and we'll finish up. We should have plenty of time to be done at the end. And then if you guys have got any questions, I'd love to try to answer those for you. So let's talk about the next R, which is refocus. Share a really kind of story that kind of sets this out for me. I wear glasses, but I haven't worn glasses my whole life. I didn't start wearing glasses till my early 40s. Had never really been to an eye doctor. Part of our insurance gave us a free eye doctor appointment. So I might as well go get my eyes checked, right? I'm in my 40s. We'll see how we're doing. You know, when you sit in the eye doctor chair and they put the lenses in front of you and they're shifting them and turning them, they say, okay, so tell me, is it better like this? And then they, or like this. And it's a real subtle change, but you kind of think it's B, right? And then they do it again and they do it again. They do it again. I don't know. They do it 3, 4, 5 times. They're adjusting. Better like this or like this. And I remember the first time I went through that and he got done and then he puts everything together based on the information he had and he puts these lenses on. And he says, okay. And then he puts the other screen up in front of me again and says, now tell me what you can read. OMG. It was like I was blind and now I can see. My problem was I didn't know I was blind. I'd been living that way so long it was normal. And when he made the adjustments, helped me refocus, things that were blurry that I was pursuing, right? Understand what I'm talking about here, became clear. Right? That's what refocusing is all about. I love the quote by Zig Ziglar when he said, yesterday ended last night. Why don't we shift that a little bit for our purposes? 2020 ended December 31st, right? That's the mindset you've got to have, right? I know life keeps moving and it's just a date on a calendar, but mentally and emotionally, we're able to engage that and look at it in a fresh perspective. And so this is really where we're going to get into it now. This is where you'll probably take the most time when you pull yourself away to do this. As we shut the door on 2020 to go into 2021, we've got to leave it behind. You're doing all this work on the refocusing, the reviewing, refining. You're doing all that so you can let it go, so you don't drag any of it into the new year. That should be freeing to you. You should be feeling a little bit lighter just talking about it, right? So we're going into the new year. There may be some things that come that are outside of your control, and they might be bleeding into the new year, right? Some of the things that we don't know, where's COVID going? What's the economy going to do? We don't have any control over that. It's not looking at a new year and saying, oh, we'll just stop and it'll all go away. No, there are things that are going to bleed into the next year that we don't have control over, that we have to be aware of. But we cannot let fear of the unknown or the fear of yesterday's experiences lead us to tomorrow's failures. Can't let the fear of yesterday cause us to fail today. Just, you got to let it go, right? You were created for more than that. Deborah Searle, she's a professional adventurer. She's an author, speaker. She was on the Live to Lead broadcast I did a couple years ago with the John Maxwell stuff. And she said this, and I loved it. I've been hanging on to it ever since. She said, you know, when she was out on the ocean, traveling in a small boat across the ocean, and all the things she came across and the hardships and the challenges she went through, she said, I learned that there's only one thing that matters, and that's to control the controllables. In other words, I have to control what is in my ability to control. Don't waste valuable time, energy, and emotion on the things you can't control. Focus on what you can. The biggest thing that you can control is what? It's you. It's how you go about things. It's how you think about things. It's how you engage things. It's how you respond to things. You are in more control than you think you are. We blame so many other things for our emotions and our responses and our reactions in our life and our situation. And that's true. A lot of things impact us. And we can't control them. But we can control how we're going to deal with it, who we're going to surround ourselves with, what we're going to do. And I want you to really own that. The best way I know to do that is to focus, or in this case, what we're talking about is to refocus. You do that by beginning the year with the end in mind. So I want to talk about these three things. There's three things in the notes that you're going to see in the template that I want you to go through. And the first one is beginning the year with the end in mind. Set your destination. What is the 12-month objective? At the end of 2021, where do you expect to be, right? What do you do? What do you expect to be doing, or what do you need to do to accomplish those objectives personally and professionally? Where do you want to be at the end of next year? You need to have that destination, that vision in mind. It doesn't have to be perfect and all mapped out, but you have to have an idea of where you're headed personally and professionally. It may include some very specific objectives as well as some overarching life objectives, but you want to have those. You want to have a clear destination. How do you know you've arrived if you don't know what it looks like? And that's what this first part is. So you're looking at the 12 months. Then you start backing it up. With the end in mind, 12 months, where do I need to be and what do I need to be doing or have accomplished in the next 6 months, the first half of the year? So you've gotten your 12-month idea. Now you're going to go back to 6 months. Say, okay, if I'm going to accomplish the 12-month, where should I be? Where do I think I should be in the 6 months from now? What things should I have already done? How far along should I be? What projects need to be completed that are first steps to that next thing? We've got to then back it up from 12 months to 6 months. Okay, it's really important that we do that. And then I'm going to reach, what is it I need to reach my 12-month? I plan my 6 month. All right, now we're going to back it up one more time. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? This is a 3-month plan. This is right there. 3 months come just like that, right? This is where what you're doing is you're asking yourself for the 3 months the same question. Okay, I know my 12-month. I've set my 6-month objectives. Now my 3-month objectives. What do I need to have done in the next 3 months that will ensure that I'm going to accomplish what I need to do in the 12 months? That will make sure that I can get to my 6-month plan done. It's all connected, wide funnel down to the narrow, right? And so we do the same thing with our 3-month plan. Here's the thing I also want you guys to know. Some of you will have objectives and things that aren't at the whole year. They'll play into it, but they need to be done in the first 3 months or 6 months. Those get planned in there and you back those up as well. But they may not carry into the year plan. It's just part of our job or part of the things that we're doing. So you're looking at those things. But this leads us to the last part of refocus, which is really, really important. It's probably the most important thing that you're going to do. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this one, a little bit longer than I might on the others. Now we're going to talk about 30 days. From January 1 to the end of January, the first 30 days of the year, this is going to set the tone for everything you do. This is probably going to take the most time, the most energy, the most discipline to get this plan. But if you do it, I promise you, you're going to go to sleep on the 31st of December, and you're going to wake up in January feeling like you can accomplish anything because you will have already set your first 30-day goals and objectives personally and professionally. You'll put on the calendar. You're going to go through the SMART process. It's a little different than what you might be familiar with. But it's really critical that you understand what is it you need to take action on and do and put in place the first 30 days to accomplish the 3-month, to accomplish the 6-month, to say at the end of the year, well done, you've reached your objective. So what actions do you need to take in the next 30 days? It's foundational. Let's go through this a little bit. We don't fail to reach, and I want you guys to hear this. We don't fail to reach our objectives because we lack motivation. I don't think that's why we fail. We fail to reach our objectives because we fail to plan. We can be motivated. We can have a clear picture of where we're going and where we are. But if we don't have the strategy to get there, and it's concrete, it's tangible, right? It has action items and people and accountability tied to it. If it's not SMART, there's a good chance you're not going to get there, or you're going to be like me. I'm easily distracted. It's like the dog in Up. I'm going to chase the next shiny thing and get off task because something caught my attention. I don't know if that's you guys, but that's me, right? So let's go through these really quickly. The first one is this: specific. You need to be specific in the next 30 days. What action steps do you need to take in order of priority of impact towards your ultimate objective? So you'll look at the 30 days, you're going to list everything that you need to do. What specifically do I need to engage? Do I need to do? Appointments I need to set, people I need to talk to, things I need to go get, something I need to read. I don't know what it is, but you're going to be specific. Okay? What are the action steps for the next 30 days? Those action steps now, whatever those things are that you got to do, appointments you need to set, people you need to meet, calls you need to make to certain people, time you need to block out. I don't know what it is, but there are things that you're going to have to do that are going to be foundational to everything else that you do. Right? Second thing is it has to be measurable. Every one of those specific action steps that you write down, you need to know how you will assess the progress that you're making. Measurable. Some of them are just, I did it, right? Some of them are a progression. You need to do one thing before you can do the next. That's why I said when you do specifics, put them in order of priority, because it's like a domino. There's some things that I need to do one before I can do two. Then there's like A over here. It's all by itself. I can do it and get it done. It doesn't need anything else. But those things that depend on each other, that build, you need to put them in order, and they need to be measurable. You need to be able to define that you've done it. You need to be able to check that box. Some of you love that because you're box checkers. The third thing I'm going to add to that is accountability, right? You've got specific action items. They're measurable. You know when they have to be done. You've set that. They're accountable. And what this means is, who are you going to ask to help you stay focused and to meet your expectations and deadlines? You've got to set deadlines, time bound. We'll talk about that at the end, and make your actions public. It's really important. So you might invite someone and give them your plan and let them follow up with you. Let them check in with you. Let them help you. They can't hold you accountable. You're the only one that can hold yourself accountable. I want you to understand that. But you can have other people that can help remind you, keep you focused, get you back on track. If they know what your plan is and they see you veering off and chasing something that isn't in that plan, and you may not even realize you're doing it, that accountability piece is someone that's going to help you and nudge you back onto what you need to do. It's really important that you bring someone in this process. All right, next one is relevant. Relevant, this is all about motivation now. This is about tapping into the why and how this is so important to your success. You can have all these action items and they can become to-do lists and checklists, but they have no emotion tied to it, no motivation, except so they get boring and just, it's like, this is just menial tasks I've got to do. Tie those actions and those tasks to the why. Remember, this is about where you want to get at the end of the year, what you need to do for the first 3-month plan, the first 6 months, the 12 months. The relevant is all about the why. Define its relevance, then you are able to make sure you've got the right actions. Because when you define the relevance, you might realize that this is the wrong action. This action isn't going to get me to my why, and you might have to make an adjustment. So relevant is really all about motivation. You write down why and how each of these things are going to be critical to the overall success in reaching your destination. And the last one, we've kind of talked about it. It's built in all of this, but it's time bound. This is possibly the most important step. If you don't put a deadline, you can always change deadlines, but it's hard to add a deadline in the middle of trying to do it, right? So you want to have, when you go into January 1 and you've gone through this process and you've set your SMART goals for the first 30 days and you've created the action plan, you want to know deadlines. You want to have it on the calendar. You want to pull your calendar app out and put everything on the calendar, fill it up, whatever you need to have on there so that you have got accountability and you know that they're time bound. Here's the thing about time bound. There's two pieces to it. You need to know your start date and your completion date. I'm going to start this on January 3rd. I have to have it done by January 5th, right? So I might put January 3rd, I'm going to start calling these people I need to connect with. I need to have them all called and taken care of by the 5th. So time bound is a start and a stop, when I'm going to begin it and when it needs to be done by. And that's first 30 days. You got to micro it. You got to get into the weeds. For some of you, you're going to love it. For others, it's just going to drive you crazy. It's okay. It's about stretching and growing to be successful in reaching all of our goals. So now you've done the hard work, identified the learns from 2020. You set the vision for 2021. You've identified objectives along the route for success. You set a 30-day action plan, right? This last step, it's all about tapping into the motivation and the energy necessary to succeed when life happens, when distractions come, when things unexpected come in your way. This is the final R. And I will just spend a second on this, and then we're going to wrap up with a few opportunities for you and some Christmas presents I want to give you. The final R. You can't get to this final R without completing the first 4. Okay? But you'll not reach your objective if you don't complete this last part. The chance is going to be very hard. We've all, what we've been talking about in terms of finishing strong in 2020, but you also want to finish strong, I want you to hear this, in 2021. We're at the end of the year, so I'm saying finish strong so you can start stronger. But you want to finish strong, and finishing strong in 2020 starts in January. How do you finish strong next year? You start strong at the beginning in January. That's the last R, and it's going to help you do that. And here's the last R that I want to share with you. Refire. What's my motivation, right? And how am I going to stay focused on it? This is pretty simple. There's just a couple things. It's about motivation and accountability. It's your why. It's what drives you. It's the impact you want to have, the influence you want to have. It's the growth you desire to have. It's the financial stability you want to create. It's the dreams and the visions you want to have. Everything you do, whether it's work or personal, family, faith, you're one person. You're not siloed. And so all of this is all about bringing synergy to who you are so that you might have the greatest impact and influence you were created to have on the people in the world around you, employees or employers, bosses or friends, coworkers. It doesn't matter what it is. This is the intentionality it takes to take control of your life, to be prepared no matter what comes, that you'll be able to make the adjustment and recalculate when you need to not become helpless at the mercy of the unexpected. Okay? So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. It's not hard, but you need to start with this. Remember, I started with a statement and a belief that I had us read together, and I said this. I said, you're committed to what you confess. There's something about saying something that's really, it builds in its own accountability. If I declare something to you, I'm going to do this, or I believe this, and I've said it out loud and you've heard me, it's going to be harder for me to walk away from it, to disagree, to deny it, to not accomplish it. There's something powerful when we confess stuff, and confessing just isn't speaking it, but it's writing it and posting it and making sure others know what I've confessed, right? So refiring is all about belief and declaration of that belief. So the first part is write it and read it. I don't care how micro or macro you want to get, but you need to write down what your goals are for this 2021 year, the vision, the destination, the objectives. It could be personal, professional, financial, relational, personal growth. I want you to have a clear destination. Those need to be written out and they need to be posted where you can see them on a regular basis. Put them on the screensaver, put them on your calendar, put them on your wall, be creative and make a nice picture frame out of them. I don't care, but you need to write them and you need to read them out loud, even if it's just to yourself. Here's what I would suggest. It's a little weird, but I've done it before and I do it often when I really need to make sure I stay focused, is I'll look in the mirror and I'll read those things out loud in the mirror. So you need to read it and write it. Okay. And then you need to do it with other people. You need to share it. You need to put it into the atmosphere. Trust me, it's hard because we're committed to what we confess. And so when we say something, it's harder to pull it back. So be clear about what you say, right? And be intentional about what you say, but do that first part. Read it and write it. Second part is post it and plan it. By posting it, that means you got to see it. You're going to read it and write it, but now it needs to be somewhere visible for you and everyone to see. A refrigerator, I don't care, your bathroom mirror, it doesn't matter. You're going to post it and then you're going to strategize it, which is what we talked about. You're going to plan it. And that's what we've been going through, the 4 R's, actually the last 2 R's, and really the last R of refocusing. That's really the planning, right, that you're going to do. So post it and plan it. Last thing is, and this is, this one's not rocket science, right? Stop talking, start walking. You still have today's the 16th. So you got 14 days, 15 days left in this year. You've got Christmas. You probably got a little time off, a little break in there. Things slow down a little bit typically, maybe not for you, but there's usually some windows in there. Stop talking about it. Stop wishing, stop hoping, stop dreaming only, and start doing, start walking. What that means is you are going to have to set aside some time between now and the end of the year. Whether you use this plan or not, or the principles I've shared with you or not, you need to be intentional about getting rid of last year. Unhook, unwind, let it go, and then start revisioning how you're going to enter this next year, right? And you've got to set time, and it's not going to happen in 30 minutes. This is going to take a little bit of work. It's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of thought, a little bit of prayer, right? A little bit of conversation, maybe with bosses or employees. It may impact more than just you. It may be your team. Maybe you need to go through part of this with your team, right? So you have a personal side and a professional side, and you sit with them and you go through this same process with your group as you set your group's goals and plans and destinations for next year. The principles are true, whether it's for your personal growth plan, your personal professional plan, or your team's objectives that they have for this next year for their company, right? So I want to encourage you that you've got to start walking. You've got to start doing it. Okay, but you're going to have to be intentional. You're going to have to set it on the calendar. You're going to have to look at your calendar right now and begin to plan, right? As part of the download in this webinar, you have the template that we just went through. And if you don't, you're going to get it in the follow-up email I'm going to send. I'll put it in there again. And you can take that, recreate it, make it however you want to. Some of you are Excel people. Create your own template. I don't care. But set aside some time and get away and go after it. You're also going to get the replay of this so you can go back and listen to any part that you want to. So the other thing I'm going to give you is a short link to give me an evaluation about how we did and how I might change and how I might grow. Part of my growth plan is to make sure I'm always asking for feedback on how I can do things better, whether it's technology, my presentation, my speaking style. I'm just always looking to improve myself so that I can continue to add value to you guys. Okay, we're almost done. Last couple minutes, stay with me. I've got 2 gifts I want to give you, and it's real important that I share this with you, and I'm going to put them in the thing. So you've got everything you need to finish strong, to start stronger. But I'm going to give you 2 more things that are free to you that are going to help you start stronger and build a solid foundation. Let me put one of those 2 offers here. I'm going to put one that I'm going to post there now. The other one I'm going to have to put in a link and give you the link to, but I'm going to explain them both. So I just put that in there. It's Jumpstart 2021. And here's all I want to say about this. It's another way to start the new year in strength, leaving 2020 in the rearview mirror. This challenge is 10 minutes a day. It's all it's going to take you. You're going to receive an email starting January 2nd through the end of January. Every morning, it'll be there when you get up, and there'll be 4 things that it's going to ask you to consider or to do, right, in the morning. But I promise those 4 things will not take you more than 10 minutes. You can take more time if you want to, but it's designed to take you 10 minutes or less every morning. And I believe it'll give you back control of your life, your emotions, your future. All right. And it's for 30 days. 30 days sounds like a long time, but you're just doing this 10 minutes a day. There'll be a short 60-second video, right, which is one of the 10 minutes, and then 4 things that you'll spend a little bit of time with each day, repetition each day to build a foundation. Because here's what I believe about this. A lot of the reason why we don't achieve and reach our destination is because of our beliefs, our mindsets that impact our behavior. If we struggle getting to where we want to go and we keep hitting the wall and we keep kind of self-sabotaging, it's because we have a limiting belief. That belief comes from somewhere. And if we don't recognize it and change the belief, we're not going to adjust the behavior. So these 30 days, these 10 minutes a day is really about really reinforcing the positive beliefs that you were created for more, that you were created with a greater destiny, a future, and a hope than what you even realize. Okay, so this is Jumpstart. You can sign up right now. You can click on it, and I think it'll take you there. You can go sign up. Let me know. Starting January 2nd, you'll just get this every morning. It's free to you. Doesn't cost you anything, but it has a chance to give you everything. Now, I've also got, so give me a second while I make sure I've got a copy of it. I think I do. I'm going to put this in the chat. There's a second offer I want to give you. Hopefully it'll come across. Let me send it. And let me see if I can make it a sticky message. That way it won't get, if you guys ask questions, it'll still be there. So I'm going to try to paste it at the top. So what this next one is that I want to show you and share with you, it's a little bit different. I'm committed to writing and putting together a newsletter, an e-newsletter, once a month, every month for next year. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create this newsletter that it'll begin and launch on January 11th, and you'll get a newsletter on transformational leadership and the principles of transformational leadership. You'll get articles, stories, resources, and opportunities that will come to you through a nice emailed newsletter, using the stuff I've learned as a John Maxwell executive director and then my own life experiences. I'm going to teach you and introduce to you what transformational leadership is, the principles of transformational leadership. We're going to talk about strategies to build confidence in your leadership. We're going to talk about risk taking that you need to do to be successful and what that looks like, the power of feedback, how to receive it and give it, how to influence the next generation, right? That's leading. We're going to talk about benefits that are going to help you in your personal growth and in your business. So every month you will get a newsletter, right? And if you want to unsubscribe at any point, you think it's not worth it, you can hit unsubscribe. You won't get it any longer. But that starts January 11th. So the link that I put in the chat is the way to get to that. Both of those are free. It's the way I can continue to add value to you. I know you're busy. So instead of searching for leadership things to be intentional to grow you, I want to invite you and give you things that are going to come right to you. And then it's your choice whether you pick them up, you take them or not. But that's my desire, to continue to add value. So those are 2 free Christmas presents you can sign up for today. Don't need to do anything but sign up, and they'll start showing up in your email box. The one will be January 2nd, every morning for 30 days. 10 minutes is all I'm asking of you. The other one is January 11th, and that's a newsletter. You'll get it once a month, and you'll get great articles and resources. See, my goal for this whole experience is to help you recognize that there is more in you. My passion is to pull out the more that's in you. Guys, this is what I believe, and you guys know I say this all the time. I believe that you were created for more impact and more influence, more future and more hope. I don't care how this year has been. I don't care how successful you are or challenged you are. There's more in you. And what I love to do is come alongside people, businesses, organizations, and teams to help them tap into and discover that more and to walk in it. That's really my passion, to see people get those aha moments And that's what I do. So if I can help you, if I can help your company, this last slide here that I'll show you is a little bit about what's coming. This transformational leadership webinar series, some of the topics that we'll be doing next year, that'll start up again in February. We won't have one in January. I'm working with the Economic Alliance and other organizations to offer webinars to their networks, but we're going to offer a free webinar lunch and learn every month next year. Similar to the newsletter, there'll be principles such as the hiring, if you're in a hiring manager, an HR person, the difference between a boss manager and leader, how to handle change management, right? Growing great teams, critical conversations, crucial conversations, how to have difficult conversations, right? What does that look like? How to embrace conflict. Those are all topics that we're going to cover next year in the free lunch and learns, in the free webinars. The last thing I'm going to put in here is, because we've got about a minute left, I'm going to use every bit of it. All right, I typed this in here. I hope I did it right. Sorry for the little distraction. This is a link that you can follow to join a transformational leadership community. It's a private Facebook group. And if this doesn't work, let me know. I'll put it in the email that you're going to get after this with the replay and evaluation and some questions to help me grow and to continue to learn. But I'd love for you guys, if you're not a part of Created for More, it's a private transformation leadership Facebook group. You have to ask to join. We engage with activities and resources and iron sharpening iron. It's a place that you can grow and you can invest in others. You can network in that place. You can tap into other people's experience and wisdom. It's like a living mastermind where we get to utilize everyone's experiences. So I want to invite you to be a part of that as well. So guys, that's what I've got. I'm going to stay on for just a little bit more and I'm going to look in the chat. I don't know if there's a way to open this up, but if you've got any questions, please let me know. I'll see if I can answer those for you. I'm going to watch the chat here for a second. You can email me directly at rick@ricktorreson.com with any questions you might have, any ways that I can serve you, your company, or your teams in the new year. My passion is to blow up the value that I'm adding to people this next year. And I'm looking for new ways to do that all the time. And I've given you a couple of those. So I hope this was beneficial. I hope you take the resource. I hope you be intentional, set aside some time to dig into finishing strong, right? You've got 14, 15 days to finish strong so that you can wake up January 1st ready to go with a plan in place on how to be successful and reach your destinations and your dreams next year, no matter what the challenge is. All right. When we receive the link to the webinar, will it be shareable? Yeah, Tyra, I think you can share that link, but they'll just have to, it's a good question. They'll be able to use it. They may have to give me their information and then they'll be able to have access to it if they're not already registered, because you've registered for the event, you'll get it. But let me know. We'll make sure that other people can have it. And if you need me to do this for your group or team, let me know. We can do this together as well. So guys, oh, by the way, I got these shirts for sale. If you're interested in a Created for More t-shirt, you can order one through my website, ricktorreson.com. And I'd love to get you one of those shirts before the end of the year. Kendra and some others, I've got them on order. Your shirts are coming before the end of the year, I promise. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thanks for investing in yourself. Remember, resolutions, goals, investments. You want to set goals, but make the investment to accomplish it. Appreciate you guys. God bless you guys, and look forward to seeing you the first of the year. And then the next Lunch and Learn will be in February. Free Lunch and Learn. Be looking for that as well. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.